Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into something super cool. We're going to crack nature's survival code. We'll be looking at the absolutely amazing engineering that lets life exist and even thrive in some of the most extreme places you can imagine. All right, let's jump right in.
So, let me ask you this. How in the world does a fox survive in the frozen Arctic, while a cactus somehow manages to thrive in a blistering hot desert? I mean, just think about that for a second. We're talking about deep freeze versus scorching heat. Totally opposite worlds, right? And yet life just figures it out. So how does it do that? Well, it all boils down to one really powerful idea.
And that powerful idea is really what this is all about. You can think of it as nature's survival toolkit. Seriously, these are like the secret weapons that every single living thing has, and they're passed down from one generation to the next.
And here's the name for that master key. It's called an adaptive feature. Now, what's really important to get is that this isn't something an animal or plant learns to do. Nope, it's a trait they're born with, something they inherit that gives them a real edge for survival. And honestly, this one simple concept, it's the key to unlocking why our planet is filled with such an incredible diversity of life.
Okay, so theory is great, but let's see this stuff in action, right? We're going to take a quick tour and meet some animals that are just total masters of their environments. I mean, they are perfectly built for the extremes.
All right, first up, look at this guy, the Arctic fox. That beautiful white coat? It's not just for looks, not at all. It's basically high-performance insulation. The fur is super dense and has multiple layers, and what that does is trap a layer of air right next to its body, keeping it warm even when the temperature just plummets. That is a textbook example of an adaptive feature. Okay, now let's do a complete 180. We're jumping from the freezing Arctic all the way to the desert to check out the camel. And get this, pretty much every detail of its face is perfectly designed to deal with sand. See those long eyelashes? They're basically dust catchers. And its nostrils? It can seal them completely shut. It's like having a built-in defense system against sandstorms. How cool is that?
And we're back to the cold again with the incredible polar bear.
Now, just like the fox, it's got that super heavy coat. But look closely at its ears. See how they're kind of small and rounded? Ever wonder why? Well, it's all about reducing surface area to minimize heat loss. In a place as cold as the Arctic, every single bit of warmth you can save is a huge win for survival.
But you know, it's not just the animals that are amazing. Plants are, in my opinion, just as impressive, if not more so. So now, we're going to look at what I like to call the ultimate water wizards. Plants that have totally mastered the art of managing their most precious resource. Just take a look at the cactus. This is a masterclass in survival. That big, fleshy green stem, think of it as a giant, built-in water tank. And its leaves? Well, over time, they've actually evolved into sharp spines. This is brilliant because it dramatically reduces the amount of water that can evaporate. On top of that, its skin is thick and waxy to seal all that moisture in. It even keeps its pores shut during the hot day and only opens them in the cool of the night. It's all about saving every last drop.
So here's the main takeaway. Literally every single part of a cactus has one job and one job only. Hold on to water. You've got the stem that stores it, the spines that protect it from evaporating, and then the roots. They're wide and shallow, spread out just under the surface so they can slurp up any little bit of rain the second it falls. It is a perfect design for desert life.
All right, so now let's flip the script completely. Let's look at a plant with the exact opposite problem, the water lily. This plant is literally surrounded by water all the time. So its challenge isn't how to save water, it's how to deal with all the excess and, stay afloat. And putting them side by side like this just makes it crystal clear, doesn't it? Look at this. The cactus, living in the dry desert, has those shallow, spreading roots and a thick, waxy skin, all to save water. The water lily? Tiny roots and basically no waxy cuticle. Its pores are right on top of the leaf, wide open to the air to let water out. The cactus's pores are sunken deep inside to trap moisture in. So you've got two plants, two totally extreme environments, and two perfectly opposite survival strategies. Amazing! Okay, now for something that might just surprise you, a connection you probably weren't expecting. So we've seen how all these different species adapt in their own unique ways, right? But what's really fascinating is that sometimes these very different adaptations are actually hiding a shared history. Okay, take a look at your own arm for a second. This image should look pretty familiar. It's the basic bone structure of a human arm. You've got that one upper bone, the two bones in your forearm, then your wrist bones, and finally all the little bones that make up your hand and fingers. Okay, now hang on to that thought.
What on earth could your arm, which is designed for grabbing things, for using tools, what could it possibly have in common with a whale's flipper? You know, a flipper that's built for swimming through the vast ocean.
And here's the reveal. Just look at that. It's absolutely incredible. The whale's flipper has the exact same underlying bone pattern. One bone, two bones, wrist bones, and finger bones. Yeah, the proportions are totally different, of course they are. One is shaped for swimming, the other for grasping, but the basic blueprint, it's the same. This is a classic example of a shared inheritance, just modified over time for completely different jobs.
And that brings us full circle right back to our main idea. Whether we're talking about the shape of a bone, the thickness of an animal's fur, or even where a plant puts its pores, it all comes down to that one thing, an inherited feature that helps an organism survive and reproduce in its own unique environment.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. If you think of the environment as the question, and adaptation as life's brilliant answer, what kind of new, incredible answers do you think life is coming up with right now for the challenges of the future? It's pretty cool to think about, isn't it? Thanks so much for joining me.